What is the biggest issue with the culture on this team? Granted, we don't really know. I mean, we're not in there. I'm sure we've seen just the tip of the iceberg, but there's been some weird stuff this year. Player quit mid-game, player hit a player mid-game, player came out with the wrong shorts and kind of challenged the coach at practice. Nick Bosa made a political statement post-game. There's just been all these like notes, like if they were playing the piano, it just seemed off this year. What is the biggest issue with this culture?
I think that the biggest issue is you have a bunch of people that don't frankly know how to win. I mean, and when I say win, I mean win the Super Bowl. You go look at the Kansas City Chiefs and what they've done this year. That's an earned skill. Like everybody's like, oh, they just seem to get lucky. Like everything always bounces their way. It's like, well, yeah, but also they're always in the position to have a chance to win the game. And then if they're given the opportunity to make a big stop on defense or go out and score on offense with the ball in their hands last, they always come through. They know how to win. They've built that through confidence and winning together. And you go look at the leaders of this team. You start with Kyle Shanahan. He doesn't have any Super Bowls. All he knows is losing in big-time Super Bowls, blowing 10-point leads when it matters most. That's what he knows. And then you look at the rest of this team. They all kind of have come up under the same way. Who has a Super Bowl ring on this team? Tarvarius Ward, who was a guy that no longer was wanted by the Kansas City Chiefs. They were totally fine moving on from him. But he's your guy. He's the one guy that has a ring. Hargrave, I don't remember if he has a ring or not, but that's it. I mean, you don't have any proven winners on this team. You've got a lot of talented players, but when you go through captain for captain, who on this team knows how to win? Those are the voices. Those are the guys that are steering the ship. And if they're steering the ship, but they don't know they don't know the directions, it's not really going to matter. They need some proven people, some proven voices on this team that know how to win, and they don't have them currently.
I think the biggest there's several issues. I think accountability throughout is an issue. I think favoritism is an issue. I think the lack of competition for certain players is an issue, and I think that's because of the relationships, the buddy type relationships. Like I have 4 kids. We have fun, but at the end of the day, respect is first and foremost. They're going to respect me. They're not going to disrespect me, and we can have fun within that. But I don't think that kind of leadership has been established by Kyle. I think it's more of a democracy. It's Kyle and a few of these players kind of run this team where it needs to be more of a what's the word? It needs to be more of a dictatorship. And Kyle needs to stop befriending these guys and create competition and open that up for a lot of players. Like, when's the last time they brought in competition for Kyle Juszczyk, right? Like, they need more competition in this team. And the whoever wins the competition should play. Like, the way Jordan Mason performed in the first half of the season, he earned playing time. And to just take it completely away from him because CMC came back makes no sense. I'm not saying play him more than Mason, but Mason earned playing time, and it was taken completely away. That doesn't sit well with players throughout the team. And we've heard that from players that have left this team. There was no real opportunity to compete. And I feel like that's
I mean, the same thing happened. Sorry to cut you off. The same thing happened at linebacker.
Yeah.
The same. I mean, Devondre Campbell wasn't playing like Jordan Mason, but dude had been out here for 12 games. Greenlaw comes back and you just kick me to the curb like I did nothing for you. No one took his side, but it's the same emotion.
Well, here's another one. Winters was playing better than Devondre Campbell.
Correct.
Why didn't he take Campbell's spot earlier? So
we know why.
Yeah, we know why. It's the roster politics and it's the friend relationships, and that stuff has to end. Best player plays, period.
Well put.
The biggest problem with the culture is Kyle's not growing. And it's that simple. When you have a culture, you have a team, it's easy for the team to understand that you're growing as a coach, especially when you're a first-time head coach, right? And you get a lot of leeway. People are very gracious because they see you with potential. They see you glass half full. And The issue is that when you're around somebody as much as you are with your head coach, a season is almost like a journey. We literally see each other all day, every day. We talk on the phone. A lot of times, some of the stories get retold. Some of the sayings get stale, and people start understanding who you are as a person, and they start understanding the tricks of the trade of who you are. And I think that that's what happens when you, quote unquote, have a culture that goes stale. And my issue is that I don't believe that our culture has gone stale. I believe that we're starting to realize that the culture was transplanted by other coaches that were here. I mean, let's be honest. All gas, no brakes, run around the ball. That was Robert Saleh. That wasn't Kyle Shanahan, right? Let's talk about swarming to the ball, GTFO. That's Coach Kacerik. That's not Kyle Shanahan, right? We're talking about running the ball, making sure that the running backs make sure they hit certain holes and that they run to the echo of the whistle. That's Bobby Turner's edict. That's not Kyle Shanahan, right? Even Kyle Shanahan by trade is a wide receiver, right? He picked Deebo Samuel, but there's no overall mantra to the receivers outside of if you don't block, you get no rock, basically. He alienates the quarterbacks and browbeats them to have culpable deniability or be a scapegoat if they don't run his offense well. And the only time that you get them in a good mood is when they're front running and they've absolutely won. Kyle Shanahan, we complain about him and we criticize him, but the truth is that he's been given many opportunities to show us who he is as a person and to show that he's grown. Andy Reid isn't the same coach he was before when he was even first getting to the Chiefs. And you can see that how he's grown. We see how these guys where when you grow with your players, you don't have to take them to Cabo anymore because they have families as well, right? There's a maturation process with these guys that I feel like Kyle has arrested development with these guys where it's not the fact that they don't want to go to Cabo with Kyle anymore. It's the fact that Kyle wants to go and they don't want to go anymore. They've grown up. They're 30 plus with kids and they're millionaires now where they don't have to hang around you to get their biggest payday. They have other families that they're looking after and other interests that they need to get done. And now when they have actually matured and moved on in their lives because they've naturally done it, they look at you and they start making business decisions. And it's like, I'm not riding with this.
Worse than that. They're leveraging the friendship that you thought you had with them.
You thought we had. Exactly.
They're leveraging it. All of a sudden, not only I need an extension. All of a sudden, I'm not going to training camp. All of a sudden, I smacked the long snapper. And you're going to go up and defend me, not the guy who got smacked. Because we're friends, right?
He's not growing, Grant. And
dude,
the problem
they've always had this core group of players on this team. Core, I call it the Cabo Clique, whatever. Core, they call themselves the core group. They're rich and they're above the rest of the team. And they've shown it. We don't have to show up to training camp. And we're going to get rewarded with the fat contract. And then we'll do whatever the hell we want. And Kyle will just hope that we like him. I think that really hurts. And then every other one on the team is trying to figure out, am I in the core group or not? Lenore is now. But Devondre Campbell, you're out. Dre Greenlaw thought he was, but if he gets hurt, is he? I don't know. I mean, I think that's a problem when you got a group and a core group. There can't be a core group on your team. The core group is like 3 future Hall of Famers, maybe. Not 12 guys. No.
Yeah. I just feel like, he could. It was awesome to have this in the moment when these guys were bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and they didn't have life in front of them. But now they've been to a couple of Super Bowls. They've seen the bright lights. They've heard all of the speeches. That's for the new guys. You got to show us who you are as a man if you want us to run through brick walls for you. And for me to come to camp when I really don't want to. And for me not to get an extension and basically hold the organization hostage when I know that I'm coming on the side of the deal where I'm running out of guaranteed money. You're starting to see like where's the true worth in all of these relationships that he garnered outside of the locker room. What have they done to serve us, right? What has happened where Kyle can say, well, the reason why I kind of blur the lines and I fraternize with different players is because this is something that helps us out in the long run. It's showing itself to bite us. And I think that they see that this dude's a mark. And you let me in this close to you, I'm going to leverage you, dude. You know what I'm saying? Because I shouldn't even have this access to you.
One more thing. Jake Moody. I wonder if players in this team are looking at Jake Moody every time he misses a kick, being like, man, the only reason he's on this team is because our coach's ego won't allow him to get a new. It's a kicker. It's a freaking kicker. There's kickers out there. We could get another kicker, but we're sticking with this guy year after year, loss after loss, because Kyle picked him in round 3, and his ego is more important than playing the best player or getting the best kicker. I mean, it doesn't take a freaking genius to figure that out. I don't know. The Moody factor.
Who out of the Kyle Shanahan tree has picked their own quarterback and developed them? Who's the one guy?
LaFleur.
What position did he play?
Quarterback.
Do you want to know what positions Sean McVay, McDaniel? Do you know what
Wide receiver, baby.
Wide receivers.
Yep. So if the Niners were to bring in a new coach, someone that's not Kyle Shanahan, an offensive guru, I would be into someone who played quarterback at some point. Harbaugh did.
Yep.
Kevin O'Connell did
too.
Or protected a quarterback, offensive
Andy
line.
Reid did
with too.
Yep.
I'm thinking of the wide receivers across the league, or excuse me, the quarterbacks across the league, the coaches across the league that played wide receiver. You got Shanahan, you've got McVay, you've got not LaFleur, McDaniel, you've got Sirianni, you got Tomlin, and I think there might be one more. But I mean, out of those guys,
personality. Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's
right.
more about,
but let's think about it.
receiver.
What is the one position though in the modern era of football that is like known as a diva position?
Receiver.
wide receiver.
Yeah.
So when things aren't going right, who's the first person you're going to put all the blame on as a head coach? And
Quarterback.
who's done that?
Quarterback.
McVay, everything was Goff's fault. We got to get rid of him. Out.
Yep.
Shanahan, everything is my quarterback's fault. Jimmy, out.
Yep.
Got to get Trey up. His fault. Out.
Yep.
You know what's he
Good
thinking
point.
with Brock Purdy? Like receivers, if they're not getting the ball and you're looking at the quarterback position through the eyes of a receiver, you're going to put a lot of blame on them, whether it's their fault or not. I think that's a natural thing. Is somebody who played wide receiver. It's like, well, if the ball's not getting to my weapons, then whose fault is that? It's the quarterback's fault. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure that you can poke holes in it, but it's just something I thought of on the fly. Like, wow, that's kind of a little weird, right? Nick Sirianni, we all talk about him, and yes, they're winning and whatever. He has zero responsibilities when it comes to play calling, and talk about a diva head coach. I mean, this is a guy getting in a fight every other week with somebody on the other team or somebody from his own fan base. Wide receiver.
What I like about a coach like Harbaugh or Kevin O'Connell, who's been a coach, a quarterback in the NFL, Kubiak, even if you're not a starter, you understand the pressure that comes with the position, how there's so much more pressure on that position than everyone else, and how fragile your ego is and how important confidence is. Like, I feel like Kyle Shanahan kind of tests that with quarterbacks, but other coaches like cultivate it. And I think that's more important. So if they ever were to move on from Kyle, I think a coach with a quarterback background, playing the position, coaching the position, developing the position is like mandatory.
I think it's definitely a benefit. I think the personality and the leadership qualities are more important, but I see your guys' point. But like, Bill Walsh was a wide receiver. Like a guy for perfect example, Larry Fitzgerald, wide receiver, but I have no doubt in my mind that he would be a good coach if he wanted to be because of his personality type.
For sure,
right? So,
for sure.
Yeah, I think the wide receiver thing is accurate. I'm not saying it's wrong, but if you have the right personality, I think you can make it work. But generally speaking, I like
more like a tight end personality because he had like tight end speed.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Sorry, that wasn't funny.